struggling with right now fibroids and reproductive disorders is the topic of the day, because this is getting out of hand. So there's a war on the womb, especially the womb of the black woman. So that's something that we absolutely have to address and get serious about the situation, because we're spending billions of dollars every year. Black women are 78% of all hysterectomies right now are performed on black women, okay? And we're talking about billions of dollars, pre-care, post-care. I mean, it's crazy, all right? That doesn't include all the medication, all right? So, with all that being said, again, for those of you coming in now, hey, I'm Chef Ahki. You can find me online all day, every day, teaching and trying my best to inspire via the food arts and lots of great information on how to get well. Now, as you can see here, we're going to talk about ancient foods for the modern man. And I want to be clear that when I'm saying ancient foods, we're talking about indigenous foods. As you can see here by the title of my book, Electric Foods, Indigenous Foods. I use all of these terms interchangeably because it really is the same thing. Natural foods are indigenous foods, are non-hybrid foods, organic, ancient foods, all right? So we'll go into some details, and we'll do a slide presentation today to get into that. So as the book here is Electric, a modern guide to non-hybrid and wild foods. All right, we're going to kind of get into the differentiation between a typical vegetarian or vegan diet and what it means to understand non-hybrid and wild foods and electric foods and why this is important. All right, and then we'll do a little Q&A after. So, all right, so we're going to try to get through this slide, and I'm going to hop all over the place a little bit. If you could go forward a little bit, thank you. Forward on the slide, next slide. Next slide. A little lopsided, isn't it? If we could straighten up the slide, brothers, Duran. I don't know who's controlling that. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. We're going to go all the way down. Next slide. Next slide. We're going to go a little further. Okay. Further, further, further. A little further. Further, further, further. All right. Hold on. Go back. All right. Here we go. We're going to start with what the hell do I eat? Because I know that's what's going through your mind every day when you're thinking, I got my husband, I got my kids, I grew up on soul food, barbecue is good, and I want to eat the pancakes and the pizzas and the frozen things and convenient foods, okay? So I know this is difficult. I know we all want to be better. Everybody wants to have the perfect tiny waist, and everybody wants to be strong and fit, and the brothers want to maintain protein, and they want to keep muscles and mass and all of that, all right? So I know that it's a struggle. So we want to talk about what you can do today as opposed to a whole lot of rhetoric about what you shouldn't eat. I know that you know what you shouldn't be eating. I hope you know. But most of you know what you should not be eating, okay? If it, like the brother just said, who was here earlier, if it did not come fresh out of the ground or from a tree, and it doesn't have any life force from the sun, that it absorbs from the sun, the same way plants have the photosynthesis process, African people or African ancestry, indigenous people of the planet are considered phototrophic. Like plants have photosynthesis, we're experiencing being phototrophic means that you're absorbing sunlight and you're turning that into nutrition in your body. Okay, so that's very, very important. So if it ain't that, then it's not it. All right, and it's very simple. We get real technical when it comes to this food thing about what you should and should not eat. And I'm here to tell you that it's not technical and it's not difficult. And it's actually a shame that we've gotten this far away from what we just simply eat to sustain ourselves. Can you imagine the gorillas and the apes and the animals, the birds sitting around saying, wow, man, did you get enough protein today? You know? Like, did you get enough amino acids? Or I don't think I'm getting enough enzymes. And, you know, they don't have that conversation. They just know. They're in tune. They know what to eat. You know, they don't have to read a book to figure it out and eat right for the blood type and macrobiotic, this and that. Why is that? Okay? Why don't they have to speculate? And why do we speculate about what to eat? And why don't we just know? Okay? So the thing is, we do know, but we've gone so far away from that we become addicted. And that's what's really happening, is that we're not eating food, really. We're eating drugs. You know, we're eating poisons, and we're addicted. We're just like a bunch of crackheads. And it's true. Watch your children. Watch your children when you take away all the carbs or the sweets out the house for a week. Take the potato chips and the noodles and the cookies out of the house for a week. And watch what happens. The kids gonna climb the walls because they're gonna say, oh, it ain't nothing to eat in here. And they look in the fridge and it looks like a rainforest, and they're thinking, there's nothing to eat. And that's unfortunate, you know. So we have to change the entire lexicon here of how we're dealing with food and understanding food. All right, so what I call the Class C diet, Aboriginal vegan, vegetarian diet, the first stage of actual healthy eating. This is the practice of eating organic and wild vegetables and wild grains. All right? And that means none of the food is grown conventionally, sprayed with pesticides, and it tells you why. Pesticides destroy the glandular and the endocrine system of the body. It escalates cancerous estrogens, and it alters nerve signaling via their dense ammonium compounds. So in short, cancer. Okay? This is also talking about estrogen, which is a major issue with reproductive disorder with women. Way too much estrogen going on. Estrogen dominance is the basis of all reproductive disorder. And that's coming from not only what you eat, but it's coming from, of course, birth control pills. You know, the doctor tell you to go balance your hormones, and here's a pill. Well, it's an estrogen pill. Okay, so we want to be very careful about estrogen pills, because it feeds fibroids. Estrogen actually lives off of, feeds what we call white adipose tissue, and that's what's going to cause tissue growths. It's going to cause reproductive growths and things like that. Okay, next slide. Next slide. Next slide. We're going to go to substitutions. Next slide. Okay, this is really long. All right, substitutions. So we want to talk a little bit about how to substitute some of the foods that you love and replace them with some electric foods, some ancient foods, some non-hybrid foods. Now, let me be clear. Non-hybrid, I know there's a lot of speculation about what a hybrid is and what it isn't and why it's necessary, and I want to clear that up, okay? Here we go. So, hybrid foods are foods that are altered not only through being sprayed by pesticides like in non-organic item, okay? Because you can have an organic hybrid food. Okay, so be mindful of that. You can go to Whole Foods today and find an organic grape or watermelon, but it's still hybrid because it doesn't even have a seed in it. So when does the creator do that? All right, so that's something's going on. And what's going on is called manganese inhibitors being added to that fruit or plant, and it is causing sterility. So now that food has become seedless, so that you don't have to worry about seeds getting in the way. But then, then we have problems with our reproductive system because the plant has no reproductive system. Okay? So it doesn't matter if it says organic if it still is seedless. All right? So I want to be clear about that. Also, when we're looking at these Cavender bananas, you can Google all over and see about Cavender bananas being a major hybrid, one of America's largest hybrids. You go all over the other parts of the world and you see Dole Company, all right, making billions of dollars off of those big old seedless Cavender bananas. A real banana, or an indigenous banana in its normal, healthy, natural state with its genetic integrity intact, the way God made it thousands of years ago, is a very small banana. And I'm sure you've seen them. They're called burro bananas. All right, and they have little black seeds in them. Have y'all seen those? Okay, that's a banana. Very sweet, delicious, let it ripen the same way you do with your regular banana. And then you can freeze those and make your smoothies with those and so forth, and make your banana pudding or whatever you're going to do with it. All right. So again, another hybrid, super sugary, pumped up hybrid. Could be organic banana, yet still hybrid. All right, so this is the detail we're getting into here. All right, so wheat is the first thing on the list because wheat is one of the number one killers, attacks the immune system. Wheat is awful. What they did with wheat back in the late 70s and 80s, making us think that this stuff was healthy, is just ridiculous. Majorly monocropped, hybridized, gluten-filled, nutritionalist item, okay? Food-like stuff, but not really made for consumption. There's a great book out called Wheat Belly. Wheat Belly, incredible book that breaks down all of the things that you can suffer from due to eating too much wheat, and they put it in everything. So you want to be very careful about wheat bread and wheat this and wheat that. It's not good for you. We're talking about asthma. If your children are suffering with asthma, suffering with eczema, if you're suffering with inflammation, diabetes, you want to get off that wheat. So you can replace it with things like your quinoa flour, your millet flour, your teff, your amaranth, your spelt. These are some of the ancient grains that have their full genetic integrity intact that you can start implementing in your diet to replace wheat. If you like to bake and things like that, you can do your millet and teff and quinoa and things like that, all right? So you can find all of these in their whole form or broken down into their, milled into a flour form as well, all right? So all that goes to couscous, rice, grits, oatmeal, and brown rice too. The ideal rice to eat is going to be wild rice, okay? And I heard somebody say black rice, forbidden rice, but ideally your wild rice, you want to look for your wild or black rice. If you're going to do couscous, I don't suggest it. I suggest you do the quinoa instead, amaranth instead. If you want a good breakfast cereal, get away from the grits and the oatmeal. Try your quinoa flakes. Try your chia seed, your amaranth mixed with your millet, mixed with your quinoa flakes. Millet makes a great breakfast, okay? So these are some of the things that you can make it like oatmeal, okay? But it's not going to be this mucus-forming, glutinous, almost nutritionalist item, all right? And I know some of this sounds crazy to some of y'all. It's like, that is my favorite thing, you know. I get it. It's, it's cheap. That's why it's cheap. It's not a health food, okay? So they want you to purchase the cheap, nutritionless foods to fill you up. So you're out the door, so that's what that's about. All right, but it's not good for you. Potatoes, turnips, rutabagas. So you're going to want to replace your potato on your carbs in general with things like your butternut squash. If you don't feel like chopping that bad boy up, because I know it can be a pain, especially if you got a big family, everyone loves butternut squash. You can make them like candy yams if you want to, minus the white sugar and the butter. You can use your coconut butter, and you can bake it, and it's wonderful. Bake it whole. You don't even have to skin it. You can just chop it down the middle and bake it. It's wonderful. But you're going to want to also do, like your wild winter squashes are wonderful. All those weird looking squashes that you look at and you're thinking, what the hell is that? And, you know, how do I incorporate that? Don't be afraid of it. Put some heat on it and it's wonderful. You know, don't run from the squashes. These wild squashes are great. You can find butternut squash chopped and frozen, organic. All right, so look for that in the frozen section and dump that in your stew. You know, dump that in your casserole. You know, toss that up, sweeten it up, and make it, you know, get some maple syrup and some cinnamon and some vanilla, and some sea salt. Just jump on in there. All right. White onions. We want to get away from the white onion. It is, again, a hybrid in its full genetic integrity. A white onion is a red onion. All right. Red onion is wonderful for neurological system. It's wonderful for your blood. Great for your liver. Red onion is going to be the #1 spice of choice in vegetarian cooked food. You're going to want to do red onion. Get away from garlic. And I know that this is a major argument and topic among many people. If you guys are familiar with Dr. Sebi, you know that he is anti-garlic. And I'm going to tell you why. All right? So garlic, as well as a hybrid, it's highly acidic. All right, so we're talking about the alkaline and the acidic balance of food. All right, and what we put into our bodies, that we want to balance that acid alkaline. And some people will say you want to be completely alkaline. And I know that, you know, there's a lot of this alkaline water fad, and people are buying $10,000 alkaline machines and spending all this money on alkaline water. You do want to try to get your body as alkaline as possible and put alkaline foods in your body, but there are some necessary acids, okay? And there are some alkaline things that you cannot put in your body. I mean, bleach is alkaline, ammonia is alkaline, okay? But that doesn't mean it's digestible for you. So the goal here is to balance your acid alkaline. For example, a Meyer lemon is acidic, but it's a structural acid. Okay, so you still need some of these acids. It's very cleansing. And some people think limes are acidic. Actually, they're alkaline. Acidic doesn't mean that it's something that is sour. I think people assume that acid means sour and alkaline doesn't, and all this. But it's all coming down to what the pH balance is of that fruit or plant. All right, so above 7.5 alkaline, below acidic, and anything acidic, of course, is detrimental to the body, detrimental to the organs. And coming from a background in colon therapy is how I really got into culinary arts, was colon therapy. And when I turned 18, I actually decided I'm going to clean my body up, because I've been eating chitlins and pork chops and ramen noodles and bologna sandwiches and Doritos all my life, okay? And I'm one of 3 siblings, and everybody's sick, you know, but me at this point. And I'm holding on. So, you know, after watching my grandfather pass of diabetes, watching my mother suffering from thyroid issues, my sister who cannot have children, has never had children because of ovarian cysts and full hysterectomy at just 23, which is insane. All right? This is something that I did not want to have to experience. I wanted to prevent, okay? So, you know, I'm coming in thinking, my God, there's something wrong here. I don't think that God meant for us to not be well. How can I fully live my purpose if I'm not well? You know? How can I actively be there for my husband?